Well on people, you don't know it's your boy Kamani Brown, and I know you see all this clutter here, but including in all of this mess here is probably the smallest computer you have ever laid your eyes on. I bet you cannot guess. I mean, some of these things are pretty obvious, but yeah, it is here somewhere. But this is a power brick though. A power brick, a USB-C power brick that powers the little monster. This is it, people. This is it. Now, to be more precise, this is it. A mini PC in the NUC segment popularized by Intel, which makes a processor that's inside of it, and it is by GMKtec. This thing is a whole PC that's fitting in the palm of my hand, and it is incredible. Now, the price that I paid for this also makes it so much more incredible. This thing cost me a little over $200, and the power in this thing is about the same as your average low powered laptop. All right, so here we go, people. I mean, it's fully loaded for what it is. It's a pretty cute cube, and here's a power button here, this nice neon green power button, two full-size high-speed USB-A 3.0 ports, a micro SD card slot, a Kensington lock that I'll probably never use, two, you got that right, two full-size HDMI 2.0 ports that allow up to 4K 60 FPS, you heard that right again, another full-size USB-A 3.0 port, a gigabit Ethernet port, a standard headphone slash headset slash microphone slash speaker port, and the power port here, which yet again it's USB type C. So yeah, fully loaded machine, especially for the price. I mean, it's crazy. Now, one thing of note, I actually did this video before. The audio got ruined. I did a full-on unboxing. Here's a box here. You can see the size of the box compared to the actual machine itself. It's pretty tiny. I did get the camera roll though, and as you can see right here in the video, all you really get is the machine and the power brick. So pretty bare bones packaged. However, this thing promises a lot of power. Of course, I'm going to be doing a benchmark next, showing you the speed of the SSD, which I actually did a teardown also in the previous video with the ruined audio. And as you guys can see right there in the old video that you're seeing on screen right now, it's a pretty generic, not so common size SSD, but it is incredible to know that this small package here is in fact upgradable. The RAM is about 12 gigs of DDR5 RAM, so pretty fast, and it is soldered onto the motherboard, which is split in two. That's how they got this thing so small. It's like a sandwich over. Pretty marvelous piece of technology here. It's a great time to be alive, people. This is an actual fully functional computer here. So straight away, people, I know you want to know what's up with this thing. You already heard the price, you already saw what's included in the box and in the box. So let's get straight on with the benchmark test so you guys know what's up with this thing, to see if it's actually worth it and if this thing is actually a gimmick or actually useful for being such a tiny thing. She can easily get lost under your TV or your monitor or whatever. So let's check it out. Alright, people, when you boot the system for the very first time, you want to go into the BIOS. To get there, once you see the GMKtec logo flash on screen, you want to press the delete button on your keyboard. Also, make sure that the keyboard either has a USB dongle or a direct connection via cable. If it's just one of those standalone Bluetooth keyboards that doesn't have a dongle or a cable, it just straight up won't work. Just a little technical reference right there. However, after pressing the delete button when the logo flashes on screen, you get into the BIOS here, and what you want to confirm is that the BIOS version here is G5 v1.01 or later, dated the 21st of May 2024. Once it's that date or later, you are good to go. Do not attempt to flash the BIOS by downloading the file from the company website. I think they actually removed it, but just in case you see it there or anywhere else, don't do it once you have a BIOS version this or later. They updated all the new machines that are currently being sold if you're just buying one for the very first time, and you will not need to do this step. You will risk breaking your system, and nobody wants that. So yeah, remember that. All right, people, so this is a setup right here, the GMKtec right there beside. Yes, this is a external mechanical hard drive. You see how tiny that thing is next to this, right? And of course, that's my Mac Studio. Couple of extra drives here, a Thunderbolt drive and another SSD. Don't know if you guys recognize this Thunderbolt dock here from Ivanki. Just to give you guys a little perspective of my setup and how this thing fits in, and of course the size. This thing almost disappears into it. I'm not pulling it out really, but this is how everything is plugged in. This thing is anchored by God knows what. As you guys can see, the weight of the cables themselves are heavier than this thing because of how tiny it is. But of course, I have a single HDMI plugged in. It can handle up to 2, as I said before. One of the USB slots is occupied by my USB keyboard there. I have a USB-C port occupied there, of course, for power. That's a power cable back there. And that's it. This thing is pretty quiet. It tends to ramp up though when it's doing anything like, you know, any form of updates or whatever. You hear a little tiny sound. Sorry guys, that's my impression in the background. But yeah guys, that is it really. I mean, it's a bit tough to keep it anchored sometimes, but yeah, she's tiny but mighty. And here on screen you have full-fledged Windows 11 running right here on my LG C3 OLED TV. And yeah, let's just jump right in, do some benchmarks, and let you guys know how this thing performs. All right, so something quick here of note. I actually did a couple of upgrades to this thing. Well, mainly one upgrade. I was considering to upgrade the SSD in it, but I mean, from you guys saw from the little teardown that I did, it was fairly generic. But in doing the upgrades and installation of apps, it seemed competent enough for my needs. However, it's very easy to do, as you guys saw, so something to consider. However, I did upgrade the wireless card. Well, of course, you guys may have known the Bluetooth and the wireless is actually on a single chip. And it was fairly simple, fairly cheap upgrade, like $20 or $23 thereabout, give or take. Ordered it, came right to my door within 5 minutes, pop in, pop out, plug it in, turn it on, it recognized it instantly and updated itself basically instantly as well. So very easy, very simple upgrade. The stock Ethernet port on this thing it's slow. It's serviceable, but it's slow. It's only a 1 gigabit Ethernet port, and my internet speeds are clearly over that. It's rated at about 1.5 gigabits upload and download, fiber connection, and depending on what speeds you have, it's something to consider. It was limiting it. So funny enough, wireless in this case ended up being faster, because with this Intel wireless card that I upgraded it to, it's rated up to about 2 or 2.5 gigabits per second. So very good. And there was a noticeable instant change, instant difference in speeds. So yeah, an upgrade that I highly recommend. If you decide not to do the SSD, at least do that. It definitely does improve the experience and usability of this thing. So as to the cost, but not much, but I highly recommend it. All right, before I get started, a little rundown of the specs once more. As I said before, there's 12 gigabytes of installed memory soldered right onto the board itself. There is the processor, which is the Intel N97, which runs at a rated speed of about 2 gigahertz. So going straight down, it's Windows 11 Pro, and just so you guys can see as well, it is fully activated. So this system actually comes fully active with Windows 11. Yeah, this thing is a bargain. I'll reiterate that once again. Let's just get straight into it. Crystal disk mark is already set up to the appropriate settings, and let's just get it going. Alright people, and it is done. It took a while, and that's because, as you can see, it's not very fast at all. This is about 500 megabytes per second read and about 500 megabytes per second write. Of course, you have to allow for slippage. These things don't actually give you the exact rated speeds. Yeah, it's not very fast. However, this is more than fast enough for common tasks, whether you do word processing, a bit of coding like what I do for school, you know, your SQL, your Python or whatever. Nothing too heavy, but it definitely gets the job done. It has never really slowed down on me so far. So yeah, it does get the job done, but it is very easily upgradable, as you guys saw in the teardown. Right, I'm going to be recommending one in the description below. I saw one here from Viper Gaming. It's a Gen 4 SSD. It's the appropriate size, a perfect size actually. And yeah, I'm gonna be showing you guys here on the screen. The thing gets up to 5,000 megabits per second rated speeds. Of course, you won't be getting that speed in real life, but that's at least 10 times faster than what you're seeing right here. So yeah, get that if you need it. For right now, I'm good with this. If I decide to in the future, I can do that. But yeah, this is what I'm working with right out of the box. So right now, going to be running some Cinebench and 3D Mark, right? So of course, for the benchmarks, I'm just going to be skipping to the end. Of course, this thing is going to take a while. Let's just get this party started. Alright people, and we're finished. Now I took the liberty of actually completing 3D Mark and just call it a day. These things take a while, and of course we'd like to save some time here. So yeah, it's done, and here's a single core score here of 677 points. You can have a look here. It's a very solid performer, not too far at all behind the i7. Well, this is a 4000 series HQ, fairly high performance, just the same CPU from back in the day. Not too far behind the Threadripper either. I mean, it's not like it's even double performance here, but very good for a budget PC, a budget chipset. And multi-score just 2136 here, which, just to show you guys here, not too far behind the 11th gen i7 right here that we're looking at. No, it's not double the performance, and that's what I'm talking about when I say not too far behind. It's like not that far at all, considering this is the i7 and this is a really budget quad core system here. As you can see, it's crazy, guys. So very solid performer, guys, and yet again, remember the price point. This is like just a little over 200 bucks with taxes. And going over to 3D Mark here, as you guys can see, it claims that the score is very good at 366. I mean, the score is just 2.71 frames per second, but this is a Steel Nomad Lite case test here. It's, yeah, I mean, it's not a gaming system, obviously. It has onboard graphics, Intel acceleration graphics, or whatever it's called these days. And you can check the specs right here. The frequency is, I mean, it's not much. It's rated at 2000 megahertz, so it's within range here at 1197 or 1200 megahertz thereabout. The GPU load, of course, was tested at maximum, and the temperature was fairly respectable at around 77 degrees Celsius. Bear in mind how small this thing is, keep that in mind. And of course, the frame rate it is what it is, people. I'm not even going to mention the frame rate, you see that for yourself. The highest peak being about 3.5 frames per second. So yeah, it's not a gaming system obviously by any stretch of the imagination, but I've seen people do PlayStation, PS1, PS2 emulation on this thing just fine. I'll link a couple of videos in the description below that show these people actually doing full on emulation tests on these things, playing Crash Team Racing and Crash Bandicoot, Final Fantasy 7 amongst others. But yeah, this is it. It's a solid performer, definitely more than what most people need for productivity tasks. All right, and that's it. So you guys saw the benchmarks. This thing is a mad piece of kit. Thing sick, people. Like, I still cannot believe the price that I paid for this. Like, for school, you know, with coding, you know, I'm a Mac guy. I was like, let me just get a cheap Windows system just to have a foot over there for, you know, better handling of SQL, Python, and, you know, have access to the Azure suite of products. This thing surprised me, yo. Like, I was like, yo, let me give this thing a shot and not spend all that money on a laptop. Let me just get one of these. Yes, I deliberately left the thumb drive in this thing just to show you guys the size of how ridiculous this thing looks. But yeah, getting back on track, I'm excited, guys. This is a bargain, slightly over 200 bucks. Check it out in the description below. This thing is sick and worth every penny and more. It definitely punches above its weight. It is snappy. Even with that stock SSD, you saw how the benchmark showed that it's around 500 or so megabytes per second read and write. The thing does everything I need it to do. The only thing, of course, it's not good for gaming. I mean, obviously. But yo, the thing's sick, people. Like, it looks ridiculous. The performance is ridiculous as well, and it's amazing that something this small, I'm plugging this thing out, it looks ridiculous, people. Like, come on. But it's right here on the side of my head, people. You see how small this thing is? The days are gone and you have to spend a small fortune to have competent performance to get your everyday tasks done. This is a home run for me. I need nothing more than this. Windows still sort of sucks, to be quite honest. Using it made me remember why I do not miss Windows, but it does its job. Not as bad as what I remember when, you know, I was really deeply into the whole Windows ecosystem, but it has come a long way. This device, though, people, do not sleep on it. You need something just to get the job done. This is it. There are many others on the market, but I can definitely vouch for this one. Solid performer, solid contender. Check it out. Click the link in the description below. I'll leave it in my pinned comment as well. You will not be disappointed. Give this 2 thumbs up. And again, though, people, thanks for tuning in. You don't know, I'll appreciate a like, subscribe, and of course, hit that this notification bell so you know when the next video is out. See you in the next one. Peace out and take care.